What's going on, everyone? So I did a video yesterday diving into Lithuania, Alex Caruso, a guy that looks exactly like Alex Caruso. Go check out that video if you want. But towards the back end of that video, talked about something in particular, and something that I really would like to see the Lakers maybe start to carve out under Mark Walter, because he has the money. He wants to, Lakers have talked very heavily the last few years and have made, to their credit, have made the changes in order to head in that direction, which is development. Right? They want to be that premier organization where, hey, if you come to Lakers, you're going to have the best success that you possibly can. Not just because of the name, not just because of that, but because we have the culture, the infrastructure, the coaching, the dietary, the conditioning, all of the things needed to make you the best basketball player possible. And we've seen the Lakers really start to just go out and revamp that entire program and stuff. Luka kind of threw a wrench in everything in a good way. Obviously, it's Luka Doncic, right? Like, look at what he's doing in Eurobasket. But that kind of threw a wrench in everything to where the Lakers kind of, like, everything kind of changed and shifted. Right? But I would like to see the Lakers start to kind of shift back over the next few years. The Mark Walters thing, it's going to take time. I even talked about, like, we're not going to feel Mark Walters' impact on the main roster. You got the new CBA and stuff like that. You're going to feel it from outside, right? Like, you're never going to have an Alex Caruso situation unless it, is like warranted, right? Like, or a guy just ends up getting overpaid where it's just, but like in Alex Caruso specifically, that you look at Caruso, it's like he was willing to take a discount. He wanted to stay with the Lakers, and the Lakers were just cheap and didn't want to pay him, right? Where I think with Mark Walters, it's like, hey, we want that, like, in Mark Walters, is he worth paying? Yes. Okay, then keep him, right? Like, type thing. And I think, again, facilities, training staff, farm system, like, I think he'll put the money into, like, the G League, as well as just, I mean, he's already putting the money into the organization, and I wouldn't be surprised if in 5 years or whatever, Lakers start to build a new training staff or a new stadium or something like that. But with the new CBA, teams are going to need to get creative. Teams are going to need to find ways to obviously develop guys, but also, find those diamonds in the rough that teams aren't looking for, right? Lakers have, their draft department, which Lakers draft is unbelievable. They've had amazing success drafting guys and getting undrafted guys over the years and stuff like that. So we have that in place. But for example, like, the Lakers don't have a pro scouting department, right? And for those that don't know what that is, it's scouting guys that are already in the league, not like overseas or anything like that. I'm talking about guys that are in the league, right? How many free agent signings have we seen that were just terrible, or trades for guys that just didn't work out, right? And a lot of people think like, oh, it's the bright lights of the Lakers. Is it? Or is it because we're just going off of name recognition, or we're going off of, kind of word of mouth, like, man, this guy had a really great run. Oh, he did? Let's go after him type thing. Rather than properly evaluating guys and seeing, okay, is this a norm? Is this circumstantial? Like, what is it? Right? Like, I would love to see the Lakers actually have a pro scouting team, so where we might be able to get better players in free agency, right? Like, hey, this guy is worth it, right? Hey, now a Kendrick Nunn situation doesn't happen anymore, right? Or we'll see what happens. Gabe Vincent, to his credit, right, actually kind of came along towards the back end of the season last year, but like that circumstance, right? Like, guys injury prone, so on and so forth, rather than just, hey, this guy was really good last year, let's sign him, right? Just because a guy was really good last year doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be good for you, right? You've seen guys like Chandler Parsons get insane contracts just because he had this just stretch, right? Chandler Parsons to this day even jokes about how foolish it was that Houston and them gave him that money, right? So to me, it's like, okay, can you get that department? But more than anything, I'd love to see the Lakers have like a dedicated European or foreign department. Hey, obviously, you hear about a kid, hey, go out there and scout this guy. Like, our scout team goes out and explores guys. But again, they're scouting guys that are like, playing in these EuroLeague that are potential draft picks or whatever, right? I would love to see kind of the separation of things. So you have like a department that is solely just the pros, right? Who's focused on the pros and whatnot. Keep the draft department the way it is, because the draft department has been fantastic, right? And then have, right, the foreign, just a department dedicated to finding those guys, right? Lithuanian Alex Caruso. Is he really that good? Is he a guy that could maybe play to the NBA? Or is he a guy that's not? and start to try to find these gems and do things, right? We're starting to move towards more and more to that. Like, I think more and more, like, teams are scouting European guys more and more, but we haven't had like the crazy influx, right? For a long time, it was like the Spurs, Dallas, like there was a couple teams that really did, foreign scouting. Spurs, like you'll see the Spurs randomly just like sign a guy and you're like, who is this? Right? Like, I've never even heard of this guy. And then you like look into him and he's like, some 23-year-old that played in some like random league. And you're like, okay. Like, and then he ends up becoming something. You're just like, oh, wow. Right. Like, or they'll like draft a guy and then stash him for a couple years and then bring him over. And it's like, wow. Okay. Right. So like they did that with Juan Nunez, right? Like they have guys that they do that with. So to me, if you're the Lakers, with this new CBA, you need to find those gems. You need to find those diamonds. You need to constantly have this new influx of talent. And instead of limiting yourself, and you're seeing the injection of more and more European players and foreign players, period, that are really good, right? I guarantee you, I would bet a pretty penny that there is a 22-year-old kid out there in one of these foreign countries that we've never heard of, never thought of, right? I'm not talking about like going to like the local park and picking guys up, but is playing in some league and he's just under the radar, right? And he's like 22 years old. He's like the backup guy, but he's like, 6'10", handles the ball, shoots the ball well, all that stuff. And is just raw and needs time. It needs a year or two to really properly develop, but is like ideal for, the NBA. He's got like the exact prototype. Right? You only need to find 1, 2, 3 of those guys. You only need to find a couple of those guys to bring in and completely change your franchise. Right? There are so many foreign players in this world. To think that there's not a guy or two out there just randomly that you could find that could be potentially a starter in the NBA or in a backup role, that just circumstances, right? He just, he's not the normal prototype. Because like teams have their criterias, right? Teams have kind of their box that they want to, their checklist. And it's like, okay, this guy doesn't. But like, there's a lot of guys that didn't do that. Alex Caruso, one of them. Alex Caruso, when undrafted, was a journeyman and then found his home with the Lakers and became this gem. Yabusele, Gershon Yabusele, right? Went to Boston, played 2 years, out of the league. People thought he was a bum. And then had this just breakout run for France in the Olympics. Gets an opportunity and now just played himself into a real contract. Right? You think that that's the only guy that there is out of all of, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these players? Right? Like, to me, like, I'm not saying you go and just like randomly sign a bunch. Like, oh, hey, this guy was half good. This guy was this, like, and you just start going sign crazy. But I'm saying you put the proper steps and channels in place. Create those connections. Hire people in Europe, right? Like you could have a Lakers department and they use agents, stuff. Like there's connections. Like I don't want to make it sound like teams don't do any of this stuff, but I'm talking about like really kind of dedicating resources, money, right? To like Lakers set St. Jean out there to go help Luka and stuff like that, right? Like why not either send guys out, hey, like how you feel about living in Europe, right? Like, and it's just their job. That's it. Pay them $1 million a year to just, that's their only job. You get a whole team, whole department, build one out in Europe somewhere or in one of these places. And their job is just solely to focus on the foreign players. And, when that kid that's, potentially could be a draft pick, you get that call to the bus, like, hey, you guys need to check out this kid, right? And it's not just random word of mouth. It's the Lakers scouting department. Go and get those top end guys and have those guys really kind of, and have these departments working together. NBA is trying to be a global organization, right? And we are starting to move more and more into that, but I don't think it's fully like we've made the full like just swing, right? We're kind of still like half ass in the swing, right? If I'm the Lakers, why not go all the way in? The new CBA needs you to be creative and finding those guys. If you can find a guy that you can bring in and sign for cheap for 4 years because he's happy to be in the NBA and he's really good for you, and you can, you find one of those guys every 4 years, or you find a couple of those guys every couple of years, why not? Bring them in. Like, I would love to see the NBA implement some type of like Europe or European or foreign policy, not just Europe, because there's other countries and stuff that we can, but like, you know, implement some type of policy to where, like, yeah, you can have, you know, X amount of guys on, you know, your training camp roster, but you can have, you know, 5 European guys. So you could do something like you have your, you know, your 14 guys or whatever that's on, like for the Lakers right now. They have 14 guys. They have a couple two ways. And then, you know, you have like, say 5 like homegrown guys and then like 5 European guys or foreign guys that you could bring in to training camp to kind of work out and stuff, right? Like two ways. There's a lot of talks about the two-way spot is likely going to get, they're likely going to open up more spots for two-way players because there's just so much talent in the league, right? And you see things like Dallas and that situation. Like, it's just, they want the NBA to be this farm system. They want the NBA to be, and if you're going to open it up to the world, you're going to have to find ways to open. I'm not talking about a main roster spot. Like, you don't want to have like, oh, well, now we have 30 guys on, like, no, nothing like that. But, you know, but as far as like two ways go, right? Like, why not have, like, you can have a total of 6. You can have 3 foreign players and 3 homegrown American players. So you could have like a, you know, an Eric Dixon and, you know, Chris Menon and guys like that are, you know, homegrown U.S. American guys. And then you could have, you know, 3 guys that are coming in, like I said, like the Lithuanian Caruso and, you know, bring in, you know, Arthur Kluma and bring in these guys that could be on two-way deals for you, right? So, you know, really expand it to where you can kind of have that. And I just think if you're the Lakers, why not be the team that kind of paves the path and paves the way? It's always good to be first. And you're the Lakers brand. You're going to have young guys that are going to want to, man, I could go be a Laker, like, you know, like Kobe and LeBron and all that stuff, and just the brand recognition and the players that you've had over the years and all that stuff. Like, this is all stuff that I'd love to see the Lakers kind of implement at some point. Again, like I said, there is some implementation to an extent, right? But it's like, you know, it's the draft department stuff. Like, hey, we're going to go fly over here and do it. Like, why not just have dedicated department? Like, start breaking up the departments. Like, you have the draft department where it's just, you guys are focused on drafts. So, you know, anybody that's eligible or becoming eligible for the draft, that's your job and department, right? Don't touch that. Leave that alone. Keep that as is. Get a pro development department where you're going and finding those pros that are free agents and stuff like that, right? And, you know, again, like a guy like Jake LaRavia, is he really that good? Is he not? Like, things like that. When you made the trade for Malik Beasley, is he the type of player? Is he going to choke? Like, was he as an outlier, right? Because like Malik Beasley as an example, because I think it's a good example. He was the same player in Utah that he was when he got traded to the Lakers, but people just remember the Lakers part of it. But he was just as bad. Again, I did a whole video on it. Like, he's just as bad. Right? So I'd like to see the Lakers maybe implement that. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.